2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome to RavenCast, episode 13. Today, we'll be talking about the Jonestown cult that was in what country again?
God, I think it was Brazil.
Yeah, Brazil, yeah. Jonestown cult in Brazil, and we got the video up. Today we'll be joined by a special guest named Irish. He knows a lot about this Jonestown shit. So tell us about all you know about it, and what made you interested in talking about it tonight on the show, coming on the show.
So, everyone's heard the phrase, don't drink the Kool-Aid. This really fucking made the phrase. So from what I know, a bunch of fucking shit happened. It's a cult from California, Jonestown. But during the Cold War, Jonestown was like, oh yeah, we need to start doing all this shit. Fucking, he got a congregation, took all their money and moved them to South America. Fucking, dude went insane for a couple of fucking years. And he was basically treating the cult like a fucking labor camp. And when the feds started like getting on his ass and like trying to raid him, he ordered all his people to commit suicide. And the ones that did not commit suicide were executed.
So either way, they're gonna die.
It's the biggest mass suicide and mass murder at the same time.
Yeah, it's biggest like mass murder in history, pretty much.
Well, no, the Holocaust is the biggest in history, but at the time...
Well, in cult history, I meant.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, any opinions before we play the video?
I would say Irish Dumbass pretty much gave you, because he comes from my channel, he pretty much gave you like an outline to it. But the thing was, the man, Jim Jones, was always insane. Ever since he was young, he had
that's
this...
That's what I heard, that he was definitely insane.
From the age of 9 years old and going up, he always believed that he was the higher power, that he was Christ himself. And then later, he admitted in a biography that was discovered after he was dead, that he had tricked a lot of people into believing his version of the Bible rather than what was actually written, because he himself had this egotistical ideology that he was greater than other people, that he was superior. A channel that goes over it very well, called The Casual Criminalist, has a great documentary on it as well that explains in further detail about his childhood history. But it's like he came from good parents, but the parents were poor and they were struggling.
Well, he started off kind of like as a pastor, and he was a con man too.
Oh yeah, where he would fake miracles in order to get more money for his church. Yeah.
The more drugs he did, the more insane he became. Kind of like Hitler.
What kind of drugs did he do?
At the end of his life, they discovered he was on meth, cocaine, and a mixture of mushrooms.
Oh, you mean shrooms?
Yeah.
Damn. That's a lot of fucking drugs. Surprised you're still alive, but no wonder why you're so fucking insane.
When you hear some of the other stories of what he did to some of the members of the cult, you'll if you thought pedophile was a bad word, yeah.
Not only did he fuck all the women and all the kids, fucking sometimes he would fuck dudes too.
He got a lot of underage women pregnant and forced them to bear the child, telling them that it would be the savior coming.
He's worse than just a fucking pedophile. What the fuck?
And the parents were like okay with it.
Yeah, completely.
Well, yeah, because they're all mentally ill, retarded too. They're all following the cult. They all thought Jim Jones was like some sort of god, when in reality he was a phony and a fraud. It just felt like Waco, but worse.
Oh.
Alright, we can play the video. We can start playing the video. Alright.
Drinking the Kool-Aid is a popular idiom used today, often in a
Irish brought that up.
dark origin to the phrase. You might
talk about
Jim Jones, but the
I said you brought the
a more
Kool-Aid
complicated
thing up,
and
that's what it says in the video.
Jim Jones ran the People's Temple from San
Don't
Francisco,
drink the
but
Kool-Aid,
the history of the
man.
church is a bit complicated. After starting in Indianapolis and traveling down to Brazil for a time, the main takeaway is that Jones always had one target for parishioners, or minorities. According to New West magazine, he mobilized San Francisco's African
I
American.
didn't know this part that he targeted minorities.
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
you pause it real
I
I
quick.
thought he targeted everybody.
So, the reason why he targeted a lot of the minorities at that time was because it was coming off the heels of the civil rights movement, and he was preaching this ideology that he was the white man who was going to save the black man from the other white man, which was the government. That, no joke, was something he preached, and he preached it a lot because in his mind, his ideology, again, he believed he was basically God and that everybody else was to bow before him.
Yep.
And what better target audience than the people who legitimately were suffering from segregation and racial
Do you
stereotyping?
think? I think he believed his own lies. Do you think he possibly believed his own
No,
lies?
and apparently his manual or autobiography or what the fuck you want to call it, he didn't. He knew for a fact it was a lie, but he enjoyed the praise and worship he got from
just
it.
to be malicious and to control cult and basically be a fraud.
Pretty much so.
Yeah.
And he got that idea from the pastors who were not frauds
Yeah.
from his early childhood.
Like,
Let me guess, Catholic ones.
No, Southern Baptists.
Damn.
During the 70s, you had all those fucking pastors that had like mega churches and shit, and they were on TV.
Yeah, and he based them after that, like Billy Goldman. God, who was that?
Who's that?
No, not Billy Goldman. Billy
Warren.
Graham. Billy Graham, excuse me. Go ahead, Irish.
No, I'm talking about the dude in Florida.
Well, the first one that popped in my mind.
Had every crazy shit happening.
Oh, Pastor Richardson, I think that's his name. That was a really big mega fucking church, and he fucking had TV shows and shit.
I think I know who you're talking about. It would take me a minute to remember it because, like the first one popped in my head was Billy Graham because that was one of the ones that Jim Jones pointed out. And Billy Graham did phenomenal work in his time. Some of his sermons are my favorite to listen to. But Coalfire, what is your opinion?
Coalfire, what's your opinions on it?
So basically, what I'm understanding so far that what going on, what this dude did with people was pretty much manipulated and took advantage of the whole era of what things were happening at that time.
Yeah. Well, he was a
Not
con
gonna
man.
lie, is smart, but at the same time bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as Irish was saying, he was a con man. But so, Oz, what do you think so far as an Australian and more from a European standpoint? What do you think of the madness so far?
Oh, Oz isn't here. But if you're playing the video, I can't see it.
You have to join the stream. And we're not playing it. It's on pause. It's paused.
Yeah, it paused right now.
No, I just don't see the actual video.
Join the stream.
Where?
Coalfire streaming it in the call.
No, I don't see anything.
Bro, you're dumb. Doesn't matter. We still gotta continue it.
Oh,
Cut
there
this
it is.
part out.
Yeah, I got it.
There it is.
So, Coalfire, let's continue the video.
All right.
The time, and he became what New West called one of the most politically potent religious leaders in the history of the state.
A guy like my dad found out what you wanted to hear and see and showed it to you.
In 1977, when the State Department seemed poised to intervene in a child custody case relating to Jonestown, San Francisco's politicians and local radicals leapt to defend Jones. Activist Angela Davis asked the San Francisco DA to drop all investigations into Jones, claiming his detractors wanted to stop his work for social justice. In a letter to then-President Jimmy Carter, California State Assembly member and future San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown called Jones a rare human being and a leader of the First Order.
Did his message at the time resonate with you?
Yes. No isms, no sexism, racism.
Even San Francisco Supervisor Harvey Milk begged Carter not to unleash
Pause it.
on Jones.
So yeah, no, fucking like Jimmy Carter, even like a lot of people are endorsing Jim Jones because he claimed to fight for social justice.
I remember hearing Jim Jones as a kid, like the name. I didn't know it was like a cult or what Jonestown was, but I heard like Jim Jones as like a kid, like the name is so familiar.
So many people liked the fucking dude because he was preaching all this like new progressive ideas, but they didn't realize how much of a monster he actually is.
Or the hidden secrets he had within the People's Temple, which, in my opinion, again, going back to like the Casual Criminals talked about, the guy's name is Simon Whistler, who he's not knowledgeable in any of this. It's his writers bring him scripts for him to read for the show, and he learns about it with the audience. And he's like, looking at it in retrospective, I could see why a lot of people would be fooled by it, because he's got all these ideologies that he's stealing stuff from like Martin Luther King Jr. and John F. Kennedy and presidents of the past. Theodore Roosevelt was another one he took from, where he would basically take these ideologies of everybody coming together, and he's claiming that, and he cherry-picked only certain verses of the Bible that made him look good, not actually preaching the word, but made him look good, and he combined it together to create his own version of Christianity. That's essentially what he did.
People praised him because of his progressive ideas.
At the time of extreme conservatism.
Yeah. Again, we can continue, but I just had to bring it up. Like Jimmy Carter even fucking endorsed him.
Oh yeah. There was a couple of presidents before Jimmy Carter that were like former presidents who endorsed him.
Well,
Damn,
no,
that's crazy that Jimmy Carter and a bunch of other presidents endorsed him.
No, I'm talking about the black dude that
Arthur Luther King Jr.
Martin Luther King Jr. didn't endorse him because he was the one since dead at that point.
Carter, the black guy that's one of the heads of the NAACP.
Jimmy Carter was the president of the United States. You're thinking of a different fella.
No, the black dude that was just on the video.
Yeah,
his name is Jimmy Carter, not the president. He became governor and mayor of San Francisco. The fucking the black dude that was just on with the afro. Yeah, his name is Jimmy Carter. He's not the president. His actual name. Yeah, he's a huge supporter. No, he endorsed fucking Jim Jones. Like saying, oh, he's so progressive, he's so fucking good, but he didn't realize, oh, shit, this motherfucker's crazy.
I'm gonna say the gentleman that popped up on screen also was like Jim Jones Jr., Jim Jones' adopted son. And he was talking about how he believed in his father's ideologies as well, because he was a politician out in California that wrote to Jimmy Carter, the president, about protecting him from the investigations.
All right.
Well, let's continue the video.
Yeah.
Had Jones not received so much protection from these people, as well as others like Mayor George Moscone and Governor Jerry Brown, People's Temple might have been investigated in 1977 before it managed to flee to South America. Even there, it seems Jones expected the city to defend him. In a tape recorded just before the massacre, Jones said, "The people in San Francisco will not take our death in vain, you know." While Jonestown was portrayed as a multiracial utopia, the reality more closely resembled a Soviet labor camp. What's often overlooked is that Jones was an admirer of communism and his political ties were with the far left. Thanks to the survivors of the massacre, America learned how Jones mentally broke his followers through a combination of food deprivation, humiliation, and punishment straight out of the USSR and communist China.
Jones was fast.
What?
Oh yeah, Casual Criminals, again, going back to that one, talked about it. He had a great deal, and I didn't want to bring it up before we got to this part. He had a great deal of love for the way Joseph Stalin handled his people, for similarly how Adolf Hitler handled Germany as well, and he considered them great leaders. Although he didn't necessarily agree with the ideologies of murdering everyone the way they did it, he had a great love and affiliation for the way Joseph Stalin especially handled it.
He did have his cult members kill themselves, and if they didn't, he killed them anyways.
Which followed...
So in South America, if you tried to leave the cult, he would punish you. Like, he would beat the living shit out of you in front of everyone to show you cannot leave.
Or he would have his men do it as well. And it wouldn't just be you. Sometimes, and Cannibals Criminals brought this up as well, he would have your children and your wife beat as well. And sometimes, this has been alleged, there is no physical evidence they've been able to prove this, but it was alleged by a couple of the cult members that allegedly survived that he would rape the women in front of them to demonstrate how much of a powerhouse he was. More like how much of a piece of shit he was.
He told you how much he loved you.
As he was doing it.
He's like an abusive ex that they kind of want to get away from him, but they can't.
The famous, or I shouldn't say famous, the infamous Stockholm Syndrome. That's what he really banked off, was you suffering from Stockholm Syndrome. You know it's bad that you're here, but you continue to be in this situation because it's familiar to you.
I understand that, actually, when you explained it. So, like, fuck.
Like, Coldfire, not to be a dick to you, but he would bank off of people like you. He would bank off of people like you. He would want to manipulate people like you. And again, not to insult you or paint you as some kind of retard, because you're not. He simply would bank off of people like you because he would prey off your weaknesses. He would manipulate you in a way that would make you believe he was the good guy.
I try to do that to everyone.
Waco, but 10 times worse.
Yeah, I kind of understand what you're talking about.
Like, that's the kind of people he would go after, is people like you who have either physical or mental disabilities as well. That was something he often targeted.
No, and also the kids that he was raping, they were completely brainwashed. Like, there were some parents trying to leave with their kids, and their kids tattled on them.
Oh, yeah.
And they fucking beat.
Or killed. There was someone that even killed, and their bodies were buried.
Yep. And it's very easy, unfortunately, to brainwash kids at a certain age.
Now, like the kids we're talking about is like 13, starting as young as like fucking 8-year-olds, and getting as high for him as about 16. Once he hit 17, he didn't really care much for you. He'd pass you off and go to the next one, and he would
still fuck you, but he'd pass you off and be like, "No, I want to get."
Yeah, he would pass. He would host orgies legitimately with the young kids. He would host orgies, and he claimed that it was from God on high called him to do so in order to have the Savior born if you got pregnant. I am not joking. I wish I was making that up. It is fucked up.
Too, because that shit sounds horrible.
Oh my
God in fucking heaven. Again, Casual Criminalist learned about it through there, and I went. When I heard that, and we can continue on.
Right.
When I heard that, the first words that came out of my mouth was, I want to fucking punch this guy right in the goddamn throat. But I can't, because this motherfucker was a bullshit coward and killed himself. But I'm fairly confident there's a special room in hell just for him.
Well, so the reason why the feds were all pissed off is some of the parents, mothers and fathers, still lived in California, and they were trying to get custody of their kids to get their kids away from this motherfucker.
Without tipping off the federal agencies, they were trying to do it through the state of California, which the state of California didn't have much authority when it came to that.
Yeah. But Well, finally, when the feds suck in, we're like, okay, we're gonna do it. That's when he did the whole. Yeah.
And not to mention, he killed two prominent senators as well. But we'll get to that later. Let's go ahead and continue the video.
Fascinated by Hitler.
Jonestown survivor Eugene Smith wrote in a Newsweek op-ed that even when the cult was still in the U.S., Jones kept an iron grip. If you broke the rules, Jones dressed you down in front of everyone else. You didn't defend yourself, you just took it. Additionally, the residents were encouraged to criticize themselves to Jones, whether in person or in writing, a practice that was nearly identical to communist Chinese struggle sessions, meant to keep potential defectors in line. Life wasn't much better day to day.
I mean, I've never been on a plantation, but my God, it was a plantation. And he was the master.
Work consisted of 8 to 12-hour days in the jungle, with most meals consisting mainly of rice. Jonestown's inhabitants were kept on a low-protein diet, no doubt to keep them weak and pliable. What they were fed was a daily diet of propaganda about America's impending collapse and how bad life was elsewhere, kind of like North Korea does today. Among the workable torture Jones employed was the infamous White Night. This was Jones's way of sounding the alarm when he claimed the commune was about to come under attack. According to Smith, everyone would run to the pavilion and Jim Jones would talk and prophesize and go off on his rants and raves for hours and hours. He was strung out.
Dad, like any good demagogue, would conjure up fear.
Survivors gave varying descriptions of White Nights, but
also, if I was his kid, I would probably change my last name.
Apart from depriving people of
quick.
sleep, kept everyone in a heightened.
I agree with Irish. If my last name was fucking Jones and I was the son of Jim Jones, I'd do everything in my fucking power to disassociate as much as humanly possible. If I could change my DNA where there'd be no way my blood could be connected to him, I would do this.
Well,
I would go that fucking far.
Well, you can't change your DNA, but at least change your name.
Yeah, change the last name.
At least once he doesn't carry too many.
Imagine your name would be stupid because his name's Jim Jones. There's heaps of Jim Joneses everywhere. He could just blend right in.
But
if you're going to change your name by deep hole and shit, there's a way to track that shit. So,
if my last name was associated with a terrible person like Jim Jones was, I would probably change my last name.
He's like,
out of respect, maybe out of respect, but I don't think anyone's coming to kill him. It's not his fault.
No one's gonna kill him. It's the
well, no one blames him. It's just
it's a funny joke, basically.
The connotation, the association, I guess. Yeah.
Well, association, that it's a funny joke to make. It's a little bit of way to line up one of the darkest topics you could ever talk about.
Yeah. No, I'm just trying to be a little funny, make light of what he's talking about.
Because again, like I said before, going off of just the stuff we talked about in the first probably about 30 minutes of this show so far, 20-30 minutes. After all of that, I could use a little bit of lighthearted humor because even I'm kind of getting. And again, this is something I've done.
It's pretty heavy stuff. You need some lighthearted entertainment in between,
Yeah.
Which I have a feeling this video is not going to have for probably obvious reasons.
Well, this is just the short version, the long version.
Yeah, like I said, the one I have is an hour plus, and it just really goes into detail.
Movie.
Yeah, there's one on Netflix, I think. I haven't watched it, though. I know next to nothing about this, so... Yeah.
Well, now you're learning all about it, and if you want, later I can send you the documentary I was telling you about that I watched.
Yeah, that'd be great. Awesome. Cheers.
An hour and 40 minutes.
Because the guy, like I said, he's a British guy that lives in the Czech Republic, and the guy who wrote for him is an American lawyer. The guy's name is Danny. And he went over a lot of the laws and how Jim Jones used laws to get away with some of the shit that he did when he was in California using his progressive...
well, he had lawyers.
Yeah,
he took all the money from all his fucking people and he had lawyers.
Yeah, he had, what was it, something close to 50 billion, not billion, but millions of dollars. And he had some of the most expensive lawyers you could get at that time that was able to just bat away anything. He literally got himself out of child support twice.
Well, he also used the fear that America is going to be attacked and America is so fucking evil and collapsing, and he used all these fucking fears just to keep his people in line.
What was it? The three that I remembered Simon talking about, and Danny, was America was going to be taken over by the devil and the whole country was going to burn down. It was either going to be invaded by Russia or North Korea or China, one of the three, and claimed that it would be taken over and turned into a communist nation. So they must learn to live under communist ways in order to survive.
He was a communist. No, he was a communist.
I know. I'm telling you what the rhetoric was told to me of what he used. So listen closely. Then the last one he used was that America was a damned country to hell, and in order to stay out of hell, you must join the Jonestown, and that was part of how he was able to convince people to leave California and go with him to southern Africa in order to be a part of the Jonestown cult.
South America.
So what you're saying, the three tenets is basically satanic panic.
Yeah, he used
under the bed.
The satanic panic along with the Cold War is part of his rhetoric.
So the Reds under the bed, like that's another common thing from like the 80s, 90s, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And, like this is still a common thing. I see it as a foreigner quite a lot about your country. America needs to be reformed by like joining someone's group, you know. It's all it's doing is dividing people. Anyway.
Well, that is pretty much true. And coming from a conservative, I see a lot of that rhetoric, and I go, "There's no way in hell it would accomplish because there's too many people, both on the conservative and liberal side, who would say, fuck that. We don't want to have anything to do with your communist or socialist ideologies. We want to run it our way." And the movie Red Dawn would be a pretty good example of what would happen. But anyhow, we're getting off topic. Let's continue on with the video.
Continue the fucking video.
Keep going?
Yeah, let's keep going.
Yeah.
State of stress regarding the possibility of the Guyanese army invading the commune and slaughtering the inhabitants. This reinforced people's loyalty to Jones, who promised protection but expected everyone to be ready to die for the cause. They practiced this too. A handful of white knights were described as mass suicide rehearsals, a grim foreshadowing of the massacre that occurred in November of 1978. While San Francisco Democrats ran cover for Jim Jones, California Democratic Congressman Leo Ryan broke ranks with his party to investigate. After New West magazine published a damning article regarding abuse in Jones's cult, the People's Temple moved to Guyana, where members were reportedly forbidden to leave. Ryan went there to investigate and lost his life as a result. Before we go any further, we need to briefly explain the geography of Guyana. Jonestown is about 140 miles outside of the capital city of Georgetown, in the middle of the jungle. The nearest airport is 60 miles.
I know Georgetown.
It's mostly a dirt road.
They kind of glossed over that. A reporter lost his life.
Make it very hard to get in and out of his utopia.
The reporter and the governor.
To his advantage. Accompanying Ryan was Tim Reiterman, who published his experiences in the San Francisco Examiner in 1978. Reiterman said Jones carefully choreographed the visit to make Jonestown look like a thriving settlement.
Whatever the comments are, there are some people here who believe that this is the best thing that ever happened to them in their whole life.
But the charade collapsed when two members handed Ryan a note begging the congressman to save them. At least 14 more joined them in their attempt to escape, something Jones wouldn't tolerate.
What is your wish today? To go back home. And where's home? U.S.
Before the group even left Jonestown for the airport, things got very dicey. A few church loyalists inspected the trucks carrying the fleeing members, and that culminated with Congressman Ryan having a knife held to his throat. Cooler heads prevailed, and they all thought they were in the clear to return to the U.S. Unbeknownst to Ryan, however, a member of Jones's Red Brigade, Larry Layton, had joined the defectors as a saboteur. After arriving in Port Kaituma for their flight home, Layton signaled to a handful of men in a tractor who'd been following the party.
I turned to Larry Layton, I said, "They're killing everyone, they're killing everyone." And then he shot me 3 times, point blank.
In the resulting firefights, Ryan and several others were killed. In 1986, Layton would be the only person convicted for the killings.
Pause real quick.
Yeah. Why that ad's going on? Fucking, yeah.
So.
No, they killed anyone who did not drink the Kool-Aid and fucking only most of the people that did the killing, they committed suicide after doing it.
He was one of the few that did. And as far as I'm concerned, I hope that motherfucker is getting his ass beat every day in prison. Every day he's getting his ass fucking beat and sent to the infirmary because that's where he fucking belongs. People like him do not deserve any fucking mercy whatsoever. The massacre of innocent individuals. Fuck him.
So, well, in the long version of the thing, it's a father, and he's talking about how he went to South America to get his wife and daughter away from Jones. And when Jones was ordering people to commit suicide, his fucking daughter takes a knife, kills her mom, and then kills herself. Why he's trying to get a plane to go back to America.
Yep.
Wow.
Right in front of him.
Yeah. Well, no, he just came back, saw his wife was killed, and his fucking daughter fucking slit her own throat.
And then not only that, but the jackass himself, Jones, was using his little fucking bullshit tape recorder, and he was talking about, you are doing the Lord's work, and all of you shall be blessed when you make it to the afterlife. And like, you will only suffer temporarily now, but you shall be blessed forevermore in the afterlife. And I'm just like, I want to fucking punch this guy right in the goddamn throat.
No, it's really fucked. He got fucked up on drugs, and he went on this whole fucking rant the night before the whole suicide and murder thing. Why people were killing themselves, and people, his loyal followers, were killing the non-suicide people. He's playing over the intercom this whole fucking rant that he did just the night before.
Yep. Well, he was recording himself as well.
Yeah. Well, he was playing it the entire time they were doing that too.
Yeah, because you can hear it in the background as he's talking to them, and you can hear people collapsing, there's moaning, there's crying, gunshots can be heard, people begging not to be murdered as they're being stabbed and bludgeoned to death.
Some people were using dead bodies as human shields.
Yeah, to try and cover themselves. And only to get shot.
So basically a full throttle, self-throttle war zone thing.
I think something...
It's basically...
This is pretty much so... I don't want to say it's on par to the Holocaust, but it's definitely fucking close to it.
It's definitely close, but it's not there.
But it doesn't, and it doesn't take away from the horrificness of it. I suppose it's a different type of tragedy.
Yeah.
One was done by military force, the other one was done by the manipulation of one man who fucking lost his marbles and decided that almost 1,000 people needed to suffer.
Arguably, isn't that the same thing, though? Arguably.
Well, yeah, it is, but Jim Jones wasn't like anti-Jew or anything.
Well, that also the body count too.
Well, it was basically a POW camp.
It's a little bit closer to what Joseph Stalin did with quite a few of his gulags.
Yeah.
It's a little bit closer to that than it is to the concentration camps of Germany. Although, Oz, you do make a good point. It is arguable. But like the thing that separates it from me is the body count. Millions versus hundreds.
I agree there too. Yeah. I'm just saying that it's the same premise, just on a different scale.
Yeah, it's the same fucked up ideology, just performed in a different manner. But Coldfire, you want to add anything to it before we continue?
Oh, well, so far this dude sounded like he needed to be killed a lot sooner point of life than he actually was.
Yeah, I fucking wish. Trine, you got anything you want to say?
Whoever's echoing, turn it off.
I think that's Irish.
Mute real quick. No, you can play the video.
I'm on my phone because my headset just died.
Oh, you're good. Let's continue on the video.
All right.
To a packed house at Lincoln Land Community College in 2014, People's Temple financial secretary and Jonestown survivor Deborah Layton declared nobody committed suicide at Jonestown. It was a massacre.
I mean, it's like 900 people, so damn, it wasn't all a lot.
With those words, Layton busted Jonestown's most enduring myth, that it was history's largest mass suicide. In a 2021 Time magazine article, Odell Rhodes, who survived Jonestown, agreed. Although some followed Jones's order, 300 children and infants were forced to drink the cyanide-laced Flavor Aid. And yes, it wasn't even Kool-Aid, it was the other brand of sugary drink. If the kids weren't willing to sip the poison, their mothers were ordered to squirt the drink into their mouths with a syringe. The gruesome scene haunted witnesses for years, with one worker writing, "Can't sleep, can I get the small children?"
That is truly horrifying.
Beautiful place.
You pause it real quick.
Fun over here.
You want to know what the final body count was when they tallied everything up? Oh, so you want to know?
The final body count.
953 people.
Damn.
With almost 400 of them being children.
Yeah, that's
That's
disgusting.
wow.
That's, yeah.
You see why I want to punch that fucking man right in the goddamn throat,
Yeah,
and I
I'll
will
punch
never
him
get
too,
that
you fucking
pleasure.
piece of shit.
This man should be. This, but I can't say what I'd like to do because this YouTube video will get taken down. But yeah,
I can make it a Patreon exclusive for my end.
People like that, you don't game over them. You make them suffer. Yeah.
Oh, I've got all kinds of jigsaw traps that I have in mind for him, but the motherfucker shot himself with a 44.
Yeah, well, because he knew the feds were coming after him.
Yep.
What a pity, and what a pussy! Like,
yeah,
Carl, you took
what
the coward's way out. Come on.
Yeah, what a punk ass bitch he was.
Unfortunately, shooting yourself for a 44 does unfortunately prevent some stuff from happening.
It would have been more ironic if he actually did the Kool-Aid that the other people did. That would have been hilarious.
Apparently he tried to, but he hated the taste of it, so he decided that he would just eat the bullet.
Well, he should have bought Kool-Aid instead of Flavor Aid.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Well, no, they're insane. Well, okay, so are they being paid to say they didn't drink Kool-Aid? They're like, oh, it's kind of like Kool-Aid, but a different.
I wondered about that. It's like the other popular sugary drink, and I was like, I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, I've heard of the brand, but I've never tried it, so I have no clue. And the way, honestly, that did come off, kind of made me question that sentence a little bit.
Like, what was it actually Kool-Aid? But they're like, oh, it was some other sugary drink.
Yeah, it was, the manufacturer of Kool-Aid was like, can you please, like, if we hand you a few $1,000s, can you mention that it was a different brand and not Kool-Aid?
No.
Fucking, I feel like if I keep saying it, the Kool-Aid man's gonna show up and he's gonna be like, what do you say about Kool-Aid? Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm gonna murder you.
He's gonna break through your wall.
Yeah, he busts through the wall. Busts through the wall behind me. Oh yeah, stop talking about Kool-Aid during this massacre. Oh yeah.
Or
terrible things to you.
Is it the Kool-Aid man that did it? And he just breaks through the wall and he's like, oh yeah, it was us.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was us. Oh Jesus Christ. Let's continue the video.
Okay.
It's really good.
As for the adults who didn't want to go along with the plan, Jones had a solution for them as well. Rhodes said he saw them herded back to the pavilion at gunpoint and coerced into drinking the poison. According to a Guyanese pathologist, up to 90% of Jonestown's victims were forcibly injected, shot, or strangled. So yes, Jonestown was really a mass murder. Among the few who definitively died by suicide was Jones himself. According to a Washington Post interview with his son Stephen, Jones was too prideful to let anyone else kill him. Despite the fact that the People's Temple drew its membership from the poorer echelons of American society, the group itself was far from poor. Jones's well-funded operation had around $27 million in total assets. These included $7 million in cash stashed away in Venezuelan and Panamanian bank accounts. According to the New York Times, the members of the People's Temple left all the liquid assets to the USSR with the explanation, "We, as communists, want our money to be a benefit for help to oppressed peoples all over the world, or in any way that your decision-making body sees fit." The Times report drew heavily on the activities of Jones loyalist Maria Casares, who was tasked with organizing the delivery of some of the funds to the Soviet embassy in the Guyanese capital. She visited Panama and Venezuela several times, suggesting she was Jones's primary financial go-between with the banks. Jones's wife Marceline left another note transferring money.
Damn, he had a wife.
Bahamas.
Yep.
Again,
he was married.
Holt was far from poor.
Twice, I
It doesn't
believe.
appear the USSR ever received the money, and Moscow refused to comment on the matter. While commune, a second, smaller massacre was taking place at the People's Temple headquarters in the Guyanese capital of Georgetown at the hands of Jones loyalist Sharon Amos. According to her nephew August and his mother Robin, Jones ordered cult members at the Georgetown headquarters to kill themselves, but most of them refused. Amos, however, chose to carry out a horrific act on Jones's order with fellow cult member Charles Dykeman. She took her 3 children to a bath.
That
Get ready.
Just a piece of shit as everyone else.
Just get ready for this. Is all I can say is get ready for this moment, because when Simon heard this, he was slamming the desk, because he has a 2-year-old son and a 5-year-old daughter, and at the time they were 3 and 1, and he was slamming the desk, talking about how fucked up this situation was. Just get ready for this. That's all I can say. And as someone who wants to be a father, I'm horridly disgusted by what will transpire next. So if you guys feel like you're ready, let's play the clip.
Where she did the unspeakable. We're not even going to speak it. Let's just say that she was loyal to Jones through and through. 10-year-old Stephanie Brown, who was supposed to be killed by bikemen.
If you want to know the details, she took the Kool-Aid, poured it in the bathtub along with some water, and forced each one of her kids to drown in the bathtub, one by one.
Disgusting.
Guaranteeing if the water didn't kill them, the poison would.
What the absolute fuck?
Yeah. I actually,
you haven't heard this shit before.
I actually have genuine tears in my eyes. That's how much I hate this. Because they didn't deserve it. None of them deserved it.
No kid deserves that, especially from somebody that's supposed to be taking care of them.
Their own fucking mother.
Yeah, no one deserves it. That's disgusting. This shit getting dark.
Oz, do you want to say anything?
Some people shouldn't be parents, but secondly, monsters like that should be, dealt with and treated like the monsters that they are.
The bitch herself killed herself anyhow. So
I can find new and inventive ways to keep those people
alive
and interested. Put it that way.
Oh yeah. Irish, you want to say anything to this?
This horrifies me, bro. Horrifies me.
Honestly, if you've ever seen the movie Little Nicky,
oh god,
where Hitler gets a pineapple up the ass, I really hope this motherfucker's riding in hell and getting pineapple shoved up his ass every day.
Yeah, up her ass every single day. I don't blame you. I am trying wholeheartedly to hold on my faith and believing and forgiving, but I just don't know, honestly. This is disgusting, to say the least. This is horrifying. This is
an atrocity.
This is the example of how far we have fallen as humanity. This is true depravity. This is why I tell people humanity is evil, is because of shit like this.
Yeah.
That fuckers like this can get away with committing atrocities like this.
I don't think humanity as a whole is evil. I just think that I was talking with someone the other night, and I said this to him. It was a similar discussion, but it's a similar theory to, like, you know, like the saying one bad apple like spoils the whole barrel. Like, it's the same thing, but like any movement can start out with any ideal, but it usually gets infiltrated by fucking crazy people. It just so happened that the crazy person in this case was the leader. But yeah, I don't know, the world's screwed anyway, man. I don't know, just enjoy it. Enjoy the ride.
I suppose.
Do the best you can.
Trine, you got anything you want to say before we continue the video?
Yeah, this is just fucking horrifying as shit. Both Jim Jones and his wife are fucking horrible people for what they've done. It's just like, I wonder how they didn't get bobbed even by the Brazilian government. I don't know how the Brazilian government didn't do anything about this.
Corruption. They had the money to pay them off.
Money, Mr. Krabs.
Literally, the Casual Criminals talked about it. They bought off the Brazilian government, so that way they wouldn't pay too much attention.
Yeah. Well, also, they didn't want to fucking touch it. They were like, okay, you do you.
Yep. Anyhow, if you want to continue, coal-fired.
Survived. Bikeman only cut her superficially to make it seem to Amos that he had carried out Jones's orders. In doing so, he saved her life. At Bikeman's trial, he received a reduced sentence of 5 years on an attempted murder charge thanks to his refusal to kill the girl. Why did the Guyanese government allow Jones and the People's Temple to settle there in the first place? The answer was political expediency, despite the flashing red warning signs that Jones was all he claimed to be. In the 1970s, Guyana was a poor, underdeveloped country covered in inaccessible jungle. According to San Diego State University professor Khalil Muhammad, Guyana wanted foreigners with a socialist bent who were willing to develop the interior, and a mostly black, ostensibly Christian movement seemed like the perfect way to get it done. The idea was all the more attractive due to Guyana's conflict with Venezuela over the Essequibo region. Jones would settle the borderlands, strengthen Guyana's claims to the area, and make it economically viable. He used his money to bribe police, army personnel, and officials to look the other way when reports of abuse surfaced, setting the scene for November 1978. After the tragedy, the Guyanese government, possibly aided by the United States, went into cover-up mode.
As an attorney, I've got a question.
You're gonna need to mute, bro.
How thorough their investigation is, or how thorough the trial is.
According to the testimony of Dr. Leslie Mutu, the pathologist assigned to the case, there was evidence of forcible injection and gunshot wounds on the vast majority of the bodies. That evidence was buried to make it look like a mass suicide.
These are the bodies of unidentified children. In place of names, just numbers on the box.
Oh, this is making me angry.
People's Temple was around 70%.
Wait, did they just say in place of name it was just numbers?
Yes, they were numbering the bodies because they didn't want the identities of the unfortunate victims to be known at the time. Because, like I said, they were, well, like the video said, they not only were trying to cover it up, but the U.S. government, especially with the help of some of the senators from California who promoted Jim Jones, was trying to help cover it up to make it seem like it was more of a suicide rather than actual manslaughter that it was.
When also a form of dehumanization?
Because everyone was just, because at the time they also didn't know the names of all the victims, so they chose to number them so in later they could figure out who was who.
All I would hope to say is after the numbering scene was that they actually identified everybody.
They identified, I believe, something close to 300 of the bodies out of the 400.
Most of them were identified, but there were so many fucking bodies they had to put numbers on them.
And they couldn't find all the documentation because a lot of it had also been burned as well.
No.
Which just adds on to the is literally layered. This Jim Jones, in my opinion, was one of the manifestations of the devil himself. In my opinion, he's one of the manifestations of the devil himself. Because only someone like that could come up with something as horrific as this. I'm struggling to come up with words to describe how fucking horrible of a man. Hold up, I apologize for calling him a man because he ain't no fucking man. He ain't a fucking human being. He's a fucking devil. Fuck him.
He ain't considered human in my book, that's for sure.
Well, what do you think, Oz?
I just got back and I still say what I said before. These kind of people are monsters and you need to treat them the way that they are.
Definitely a monster.
So, Irish, you want to say anything before we close out this video? Because we're almost at the end of the video.
I'm good.
Let's continue then.
Let's get right into it. When the Jonestown massacre occurred, many followed Jim Jones because at one point he seemed like the real deal, seeking to turn Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" speech into reality. In this aspect, the People's Temple did well. Anyone was welcome there, including mixed-race couples whose marriages were illegal in many states until 1967. When Jones moved operations to San Francisco, his mostly black congregants saw him as their fighter in City Hall and in Sacramento.
All lies. None of it was true.
Pause real quick.
I mean, he sold us a bill of goods.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier, Oz, was the segregation was a very big problem back in that time, and that was something he really banked off of, was the segregation. I forget what state, because he came from one of the Midwestern states that had a lot of the Southern Baptist gospel that he grew up with. And he used it because he knew that it would work so great to manipulate people. He's like, well, see, look, the America is so horrible, it's part of the devil's cult, but if you join me, you will find yourself baptized in holiness. When in reality, like I said, you're falling for the fucking devil's lies. And it was disguised so fucking great that innocent individuals, people who are of great intelligence, were tricked. Because that's how great of a fucking manipulating, lying little piece of trash he is. Or was, I should say, because the fucker's dead.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
A true false light, pretty much.
Like I said, he's a devil. Anything you want to add on, Charn, before we continue?
Yeah, he's just, I don't know how people followed him. People are stupid to follow someone like this.
But that's not fair to them either, because there's people in modern day times who are doing the same fucking shit and getting away with it. We went over North Korea.
Say the same thing, just a different way. There's people doing exactly the same thing right now, except we call them politicians and political leaders and church leaders, and community leaders and shit.
Like what Oz is talking about right there.
It's the same. It's the same shit. It's just a different flavor. That's all.
Different Kool-Aid. Oh, excuse me, fluoride. Gotta protect. So yeah, gotta protect the Kool-Aid brand, unless the Kool-Aid man kills me. Yeah, I kind of feel him right behind now with the gun.
blink twice if you need help.
Blink. Ah! Get tased. Like Kool-Aid man walks up with a taser. Ah! Damn. Oh God! Can't believe I'm making horrible jokes like that during a massacre. The fuck's wrong with me?
His face on the screen. She don't like it either. She's like, "What the fuck?"
Oh yeah, that's actually perfect. That legitimately is perfect to the joke. God, I don't know how I don't know what I'm gonna do for the thumbnail of this video. I'll figure it out. Anyhow, let's go ahead.
Choose the black lady with the fucking weird ass bulging fucking eyes, just like, what the fuck?
Jesus. Anyhow, let's finish this video, and then I say we should give our final thoughts.
All right.
In in the end, this is perhaps the saddest part of the Jonestown saga. Was Jones the real deal who went mad with power, or was he always a manipulative sociopath? Survivors' accounts suggest the latter, meaning that Jones took advantage of some of America's most vulnerable and isolated. But to what end? Jones would have said it was for the revolution, but his bank accounts suggest it was the same old, money, power, and control over his fellow man.
Well, as the casual criminalist put it, the reason why he did it was because he was a greedy, selfish bastard who wanted control over people's lives. And when he got it and he realized he was going to lose it all, he decided that over almost 1,000 people should lose their lives before he ever faced justice for the crimes he committed, for the hundreds of others that he killed.
He wanted to get away from it.
So, I think we should do a final roundtable discussion. What do you think, Trine?
Yeah, we could do final roundtable discussion. So
let's start with you. Since you're the host of it, you should get first dibs.
Yeah, I know. So what I think of it is, I think, Jim Jones, he shouldn't have got away with it. Like, I know they paid off the government and shit, but it's like, I don't know how someone could follow someone like that. And he's definitely an evil piece of shit. His cult was like a fraud, and he controlled a lot of people and, basically fucked over a lot of families and basically, brainwashed a lot of people to being stupid and doing terrible things.
And I'd say, Irish, you're next. If Irish wants.
Yeah, no, I'm here. No, if I can just, I grew up listening to all the stories. I've seen the documentaries and all that shit. And what surprises me, the far left, the radical communists, actually supported this motherfucker. And yeah, no, fucking. Honestly, in today's practices too, I kind of see the same thing going on, but yeah, fucking, they didn't realize, oh shit, we're gonna get everyone killed.
Absolutely. Oz, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, sure. I just, other than reiterating what I've said earlier, because I don't know a heck of a lot about this, and I certainly don't know a heck of a lot about American society other than what I see as a foreigner and the people that I talk to from your country. But
right,
yeah, your country scares and horrifies me. It's
well, it's not all bad and good.
There's just people like charismatic people like this walking around, and you're in bewilderment why senators and politicians and shit back them, because they're the same kind of scumbag. They just look a little bit shinier and cleaner. This dude fucked up and they had to go and do a cleanup job, man. That's what happened. I was talking with someone the other day, right? And I was talking about the militia and stuff. Oh no, they were talking about the militia, and I was like, do you remember when Biden said that they didn't matter, that he'd just drone strike them anyway? Does anyone remember that?
I remember that.
Yeah.
I do.
They do not care about you at all.
No, not
this person doesn't care about all these people. He was using an ideology, a revolution, like communism.
He definitely didn't care about his people.
That dude, like they said in the video, just wanted power, control, and a good life. That's all he wanted. And he would do anything to get it. He's a monster. And you either cage a monster or you kill it. And this kind of one, you cage it and do nasty things to it.
Oh, yeah.
For a very long time.
Absolutely agreed. Cold Fire, I'm going to let you go before I give my final thoughts. You have anything you want to say, or you just forever rest in peace because you're devastated?
Quite frankly, what really fucked up to me wasn't just strictly what he did, but the fact that his wife was so fucking loyal that that's a good fucking example of why loyalty can be bad at times. Because his wife was so fucking loyal that she killed her own children.
You don't know that. You don't know that was her motive or reasoning. You don't know what was going on in that woman's mind. She could have been just as sick and twisted as he was.
Yeah,
that was an exit plan.
We can only
exit plan, bro.
Well, we can only go off of so much because, like I said, Jones had kids with many of the women. So, and Coalfire isn't too far off from it, but I'll explain a little bit more after Coalfire finishes his thought. So, go ahead.
So pretty much that woman, in a way, since from what we've heard in the video, was so freaking loyal that she wound up killing her own all the kid willy-nilly and like not really questioning it because she was so loyal. Even if she was brainwashed, that's still like fucked up, and I think even most normal brainwashed people wouldn't even question it.
So to give it a little bit to Coalfire, he was correct. That was part of her motive. Again, I go back to the casual criminalist. They found what little was left of her journal is that she dedicated her life pretty much to Jim Jones. Whatever Jim Jones said is what the fuck she did. Literally, she was that level of brainwashed. As far as my entire take on the Jim Jones situation, I think Oz pretty much nailed it dead on the head. It is time after time after time we let people like this gain power and control, and we refuse to question it. A perfect example now that's happening now is P. Diddy. He's been arrested for multiple charges of sex trafficking and sexual violence, and we're seeing all these fucking celebrities who have all this control and all of this power are now being exposed as being part of his fucking racketeering of the innocent people who have been destroyed. While no one, to my knowledge, has been dead because of it, many careers have been destroyed and many lives have been destroyed because of it. It's a modern day example of people like Jim Jones. P. Diddy is a perfect example of people like Jim Jones who get power, get control, and then it goes to their fucking head and they turn into the monsters that they are. So
I'm going to put my little input on what my personal opinion on certain things. Quite frankly, I don't want power of that degree because my own conscience says that that's not a good idea for me to have.
Of course not. But I think we should go ahead and end this video. What about you, Trent?
Yeah, appreciate y'all come watching. Make sure if y'all like the video, hit the like button. If y'all want to give your thoughts, hit up the comment section. Dislike the video, hit the like button. Anyways, dislike button's gone. If you like the content, watch the channel, turn on notifications so you never miss the upload. Join the RavenCast Discord, follow the host on Twitter, and I'll see you in the next upload. Peace.
Bye-bye.